We call the meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
Mayor Jorgensen,
Present.
Commissioner Kaler,
Present.
Commissioner Weigand,
Present.
Commissioner Crowley,
Present.
Commissioner Skidmore.
Present. Well, we're all here tonight. The day is Wednesday, June 5th. The time is 7 o'clock, and it's time for our regularly scheduled City Commission meeting. I'd like to welcome all those in our packed gallery here today, and also those that are tuning in to us on KOFO or live streaming on Facebook. We'll lead the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by invocation by Pastor Mark Hutton from the Westminster Presbyterian Church. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor, distinguished commissioners, let us pray. Divine Creator, as we come towards the closing of this day, we give you thanks. We give you thanks for the beautiful weather we have experienced this day. We give you thanks for the beauty of this city that we call home. We give you thanks for the beauty of the citizens that we are in community with. And God, as these commissioners go about doing their business this evening, we pray that they will seek your guidance, that they will listen to your spirit, that they will serve the people that they are called to serve through their actions and decisions. And God, we give you thanks for those who serve our community in law enforcement and fire protection and EMS. We pray protection upon them, for they give their lives for us selfishly, so let us support them. God, we give you thanks for the blessing of those who love us and care for us. We most importantly give you thanks as our Creator, who brought us into being and watches over us. We give you thanks and praise in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. That moves us on to the consent agenda, which is the approval of our agenda, as well as the minutes from May 15th regular meeting and the May 20th study session. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner?
I'll make that motion to approve that.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded as such. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. That moves us on to our regular agenda, public comments. Do we have anyone registered to speak this evening?
We do not.
Okay, thank you. I'll dispense with reading the paragraph for public comments and move on to declarations. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication that they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. None? Okay, we'll move on to item 10.
Recognition and presentation of retirement plaque to Lieutenant Brent Macklin of Ottawa Fire Department.
Chief Matthias will be speaking on.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This gets a little difficult every time I come up here because it makes me one of the older guys in the fire department. So Brent, he went to college at Pittsburgh State University and public service. Started in Franklin County Sheriff's Office, 1993. Came over to the fire department in 1997. Became an arson investigator in 1999, and then 2000 promoted to driver operator, and in 2014 was promoted to one of our 3 lieutenants. Brent resides with his family in the Williamsburg area, a wife Becky and his 2 adult sons. So that's the official word on Brent. I've worked with Brent a long time in many different roles as a firefighter, as his captain, assistant chief, and chief. So we've worked a lot of shifts together, and I don't know if I went to one call that somebody didn't know Brent Macklin, or he didn't know somebody. And if they had called and said, "Hey, the firefighter was here. He was a big, tall guy," it just automatically was Brent Macklin. So. But I want to really talk about his dedication to the arson side of things. He's well known in the arson community around the state. He's been doing it a long time. We're going to miss his knowledge and leadership in that role. We have some new arson investigators in, and it's going to be different not having him, lean on Brent and making sure they do things right. So it is a bittersweet day, I think, for the fire department and myself, but we all come to that. We all work to retire, and so Brent's day will be here. His last day will be June 25th, and we'll have a reception at the fire department from 2 to 4 on the 25th. So we have a plaque for you, Brent, in recognition of continuous service to the city of Ottawa from 1997 to 2019. This plaque is presented to Brent Macklin as a memento of the city's appreciation. So let's go over here and get a picture.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Brent.
They want a picture? Yeah. Let's see, there we go.
We'll be over here.
We're good. Thank you so
I need to raise this up a little bit.
You can push that button.
Ooh.
I didn't know I was going to have to talk up here. See what? First of all, I'd like to thank the City of Ottawa for giving me an opportunity to be a public servant for this great community. It's been nothing but great to me and my family. I've had way more good times than any type of bad times at this job. So I want to thank everybody for giving me the chance to do that, and I'm going to miss it a lot. So thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you for your service. Let's move on to item 11.
Request to endorse the Kansas Independent College Finance Authority Revenue Anticipation Notes 2019 for Ottawa University.
Under comments, through the Kansas Independent College Authority, Ottawa University annually draws on short-term financing to help the university bridge the summer months. The city's bonding authority is used as a conduit to allow this financing, but there's no obligation placed upon the city. The debt belongs strictly to the university, and we have Tom Corley with Ottawa University that's here if we have any questions this evening.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner.
I move that we approve the request to endorse the Kansas Independent College Finance Authority Revenue Anticipation Notes for 2019.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Commissioner Kaler, seconded by Commissioner Crowley. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, let's proceed to vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Wygant?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Mayor Jorgensen?
And I vote yes, motion carries. Let's move on to item 12.
Request for approval of bid recommendation for Proximity Park sanitary sewer improvements.
A total of 5 bids were received for the sanitary sewer improvement project at Proximity Park. PEC, our engineering firm, recommends the contract be awarded to Matador Construction in the amount of their bid for $1,500,899, contingent upon the approval of the bid by the USDA. Upon approval, an immediate change order will be issued in the amount of $206,324.60 to remove the crossing of US 59 highway from the project. The crossing will be bid as a separate project at a later date. This also authorized the city manager to sign the necessary documents for the project as needed. We have Alex Darby with PEC, as well as Dennis Tharp here to answer any questions and just to give us a brief overview.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm going to keep my comments very short here. You heard quite a bit from me on Monday. We are here, of course, to move forward with the sewer project at Proximity Park. What we are here tonight is to get your approval and then get the approval to move through the documents, the necessary contracts and addendums and all the things that are associated with this project, and get approval for the city manager to sign off on those as we move and create as smooth a workflow as we possibly can. So I'm going to bring Mr. Alex Darby up here to talk to you a little bit about the project, and we both, of course, will stand for any questions when you're done.
As the mayor indicated in the intro, I guess, one thing that's a little interesting is we are going to remove that US 59 crossing. And as we kind of talked about in the study session, that will actually be added back into the project. We're going to work with KDOT to try to figure out a way to do that in a more cost-effective manner, more constructability associated with that. So that's the reason for the immediate change order to remove that from the project. And then that will be competitively bid once we get that negotiated with KDOT. So that should happen within the duration of the remainder of the construction. So.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Darby or
Let's do just a clarification.
Sure.
Is it a 1,000,005 is what this is, or is after the 206 is taken out, is it going to be a 1,200,000?
Correct. So the 1.5 is the full value of the project, which is what was bid.
Okay.
So then we will do a change order to get it down to that 1.2 after the fact. Correct.
And this Matador Construction, they're relatively local, aren't they, in Richmond?
Correct. They are based out of Princeton, Kansas.
Princeton, which is nice to see a local company come in and take this project,
Yeah.
so, good.
We had quite a few interested bidders, and there was quite a range, from Matador to the high end.
Correct.
And it's good that the local firm can do that.
Yes.
And save us some money.
Absolutely. You got great prices on this project, so because of that, you're able to get the entire project constructed, and we'll set the city up for growth. Absolutely.
any further questions?
I just, for clarification for the community, because it is such a large amount, we are utilizing funding that is made available to us through USDA. However, what is the funding mechanism that we are going to use to pay this amount back?
Basically, will be off the half-cent sales tax that was approved earlier. As most may remember, I probably should stand up, but as most may remember, we did a $5 million bond. We have completed the water line at Proximity Park. We are getting very close, as I expressed to you on Monday, of kicking off also the electric for Proximity Park. Within the next 8 to 10 months, our utilities should be pretty much complete at Proximity Park, ready for a tenant. So all of these monies that we are expending will be paid back with the half-cent sales tax that was approved by the community to develop Proximity Park.
Good. City manager?
So I think it's also important to remember when we talk about the half-cent sales tax that while it's going to pay for these improvements, it was approved for 10 years. So I believe there's another 7 or 8 years left on that, and whoever is sitting at this dais, whoever is sitting in these seats in 7 or 8 years is going to have to make a decision to take that back to the voters so that that sales tax can continue to pay for those improvements out in Proximity Park.
And is there a timeline on this, project to be completed? I didn't know if there was anything mentioned about that or not at Monday's study session.
Yes. So, assuming approval happens tonight at this meeting, we should get approval back from USDA fairly quickly. Then we will put the contract books together at that point. They'll go to the contractor for them to insert their necessary documentation. They come back to the city, the USDA, the city attorney has the opportunity to review them as well. That's about a month time frame. So I would assume that we will do pre-construction, start construction early July. And then it's about a 210-day, everything should be in the ground, and then another 30 days to finish the final polish, surface restoration. and whatnot.
Weather
So,
permitting, I guess. yeah.
Weather
Always-
permitting.
always that.
So
It's
it's
always
seven
Our
that
fair
case.
statement this year, for sure.
Always that case.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion that we approve item number 12 on our agenda.
And I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the bids as described on item 12. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, let's proceed to vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Wygand?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Mayor Jorgensen?
And I vote yes, motion carries. Item 13.
Request for approval of ordinance authorizing substitution of Series 2017A general obligation bond improvements.
This ordinance reallocates proceeds of the city's Series 2007A general obligation bonds. Funds that have been allocated to pay for sewer improvements are being reallocated to pay for electrical system improvements. A portion of the sewer improvements has been financed with proceeds from the Series 2017A general obligation bonds, and the balance will be paid for with other available funds. And we have Tyler Ellsworth of Kutak Rock to talk about this item.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We did touch on this at Monday's study session, but just to provide a brief background in addition to what you already stated. So the city issued bonds in 2017 for proximity park infrastructure, for sanitary sewer improvements, for electric and water improvements. And as part of those bond proceedings, we allocated $3.5 million for water and electric and approximately $1.5 million for sanitary sewer. And now that we have identified another source of funding for that sanitary sewer piece, and also because we knew at that point in early 2017 that there were additional costs that would be incurred over time, we're coming to you this evening with a request that you consider this ordinance, which for state law purposes allows us to reallocate those dollars from that 2017 bond issue, from sanitary sewer, now that we have another source of funding for that, allocating it over to the water and electric improvements. So happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Tyler? Any questions? Okay, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner,
I'll make a motion to approve item 13 as written on our agenda.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded as such. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, let's proceed to vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Wygand?
Yes.
Mayor Jorgensen?
And I vote yes, motion carries. That moves us on to item 14.
Resolution authorizing offering for sale of Series 2019A general obligation refunding bonds and Series 2019-1 GO temporary notes.
This resolution authorizes city staff, the city's municipal advisor, and bond counsel to solicit bids from prospective purchasers of the Series 2019 Series A general obligation refunding bonds and Series 2019-1 general obligation temporary notes. Bids will be presented to the City Commission at the regular meeting on July 3rd, 2019. And we have Tyler here to speak on this item as well. And David Atterbury.
Good evening, David Arterbury with George K. Baum. It's a pleasure to be here. As was mentioned before, the permanent financing for the proximity park sewer projects is going to come through funds from USDA, but in advance of them originating that loan, the city needs to provide construction period funding. So one of the items that will be authorized by this resolution is the offering of temporary notes to provide that construction period funding for the project. Right now, we anticipate the note issue size will be about $1.6 million, but we are going to have some discussions between now and when we come back to you about the exact amount that note needs to be, given the project cost estimates, the latest project cost estimates. Right now, we've got that note scheduled to mature in probably November of 2020, but if the project doesn't last that long, the notes can be redeemed early without a penalty. The other action item, or the other item that is covered in this resolution is the authorizing of sale of general obligation refunding bonds. And the purpose of this issue is to basically take a part of the outstanding electric system debt. Currently, the electric system is repaying 2 old general obligation bond issues that the city has. And the refinancing will take the principal payments that are due on those 2 bond issues this year in 2019, as well as one of the principal payments due next year in 2020, and refinance those. So new bonds will be issued that will pay off those 2 payments, and the new bonds will be structured then to have their principal payments coming due in the years 24 through 27. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking some debt that's currently due and moving out and paying it in the latter year. And of course, why would we do that? Basically, by doing this, you will free up between this year and next year a little over $1 million in payments that would have been due from the electric system. That will provide cash flow relief for the electric system and hopefully allow you to build up reserves. Now, there is a cost associated with doing that. There's an added interest cost of moving that debt back of about $250,000. The thought here is, though, that by freeing up the debt service, freeing up your revenues this year, that you can build back up your reserves. If you're able to set aside that full $1 million that we're freeing up over this year and next year, that money can then sit in a reserve and earn interest. And at just a modest rate of return of about 2%, that should generate somewhere in excess of $200,000 over the life of the debt, which goes a long way towards eliminating that added interest cost on the new debt. So essentially, it's a refinancing for cash flow purposes.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Arterberry?
I don't think so. I think it's a plan that will work for us. Probably very important we do this situation where we are now. So
And the cost is minimal, so you did a good job explaining that, David, so, yeah.
Thank you.
gives us a little cushion and doesn't cost that much. Right.
And if interest rates go up, that reserve could actually earn more money than the
We're
actual
at
cost of the debt.
3.2 is what the bonds are.
You know, that's, the
We
3.2
don't
was an
have those sold
estimate
yet.
based on a quote that we received from one financial institution, but the plan is with both these bonds and the notes is to go out and take bids, and hopefully we'll return with an interest rate that's even lower than that. But that's sort of been offered at this point.
Good. Any further questions for Mr. Arterberry? Do I have a motion?
I will so move that to do whatever that was.
Approve the resolution.
Request for the reallocation of the bonds.
Okay. Is there a second now?
I'll second that.
Amy will clean that up.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution as, if I can paraphrase, as described in
Can we vote
item
by
14.
saying whatever?
Yeah. All right.
Sounds good to me.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, let's proceed to vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Wygant?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Mayor Jorgensen?
And I vote yes, motion carries. That moves us on to item 15.
Request for approval of resolution defining depository institutions for idle funds.
This resolution defines acceptable depository institutions for funds held by the city and the city staff authorized to manage the funds for the city. And we have Laurel Gimzo to speak on this item.
All right, so this is a resolution that we review at least annually. It helps us define our depository institutions, and then we designate specific staff as signers on each of these accounts. Just with changing personnel, we need to do some upkeep and update our designated signers.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. Is there any, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion to approve item 15.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded as such. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, let's proceed to vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Weigand?
Yes.
Mayor Jorgensen?
And I vote yes, motion carries. Item 16.
A resolution to waive the statutory requirement to use generally accepted accounting principles-based accounting for fiscal year 2019.
A resolution authorizing the City of Ottawa, Kansas to request the Director of Accounts and Reports to waive the statutory limits to use GAAP-based on accounting for the reporting fiscal year of 2019. And Ms. Gizmo will talk about this item as well.
All right, so we're looking at a resolution to waive the statutory requirement to use GAAP-based accounting for 2019. This is also an annual event, and other cities our size are doing this. It allows us to use cash basis accounting instead of accrual-based. It's a lot more expensive to go full-on GAAP, so we still do follow basic GAAP principles. This is just going to allow us to prepare financial statements and reports in compliance with cash basis and budget law for the state of Kansas.
Okay. And this is an acceptable method for the state of Kansas, and I think out of the 600 municipalities, there's only maybe 3 or 4 in the state that do GAAP-based accounting principles.
Right, because it is very costly, and
Okay.
it does save us money.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner.
I move that we approve the resolution to waive the statutory requirement to use GAAP-based finance, or GAAP-based accounting.
I'll second
It's been moved and seconded as such. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, let's proceed to vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Weigand?
it. Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Mayor Jorgensen?
And I vote yes, motion carries. Thank you. That moves us on to the report by the city manager.
So I'd like to ask Chief Weingartner and his wife to join me at the podium, please. Come on, Stacy. You're used to facing the public. I see you every morning. So, Commissioners, it gives me great pleasure to make this public announcement that I have chosen Adam to be our next Chief of Police for the City of Ottawa. And Adam has graciously accepted. So, let me tell you what went into this process. I made the determination early on that there really was no need, and this is kind of rare, but in that to go outside the department, that we had the talent in the department. So it was easy to appoint Adam as acting chief of police when former Chief Butler left, so that he and I could get to know each other, and I could watch and see how he managed the department, how he approached issues. And here's what I know about Adam. He's very well qualified, very well known in the community. He and I share many of the same values. What I really like to look for in when I hire executive level people for the city is their investment in the community. And Adam and Stacy have children in this community, and you know them, many of you know them. They go to school. So there is no learning curve for Adam as he steps into the next part of his career as chief. And I just appreciate that Adam is willing to step in and do that and be the next leader of the Ottawa Police Department. And I appreciate the support that Stacy has given him his entire career and will give him in the next career. In fact, I sent Adam home before he told me yes. I said, I want you to talk to Stacy. I just want to make sure she understands that this kicks it to a new level. So, and Stacy, like my wife, understands that. So, thank you both. And it's nice to have Stacy is in City Hall. She works for the library. She's generally over here in this floor, and I generally get a friendly wave and a smile when I'm going up the stairs and coming down the stairs. So thank you very much. Congratulations.
Chief, would you like to say a few words? Sure.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Richard, city staff in attendance, staff from the Ottawa Police Department, the Municipal Court who are here, including almost all of our entire volunteer and police services squad, fellow departments, and certainly the citizens in our community, and my family watching online on Facebook Live. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for this opportunity. I do not take this responsibility lightly, and you have my promise that I will do my best to lead this department in the traditions and standards of the City of Ottawa. The staff behind me does great things every single day, and you already know that. That will not change, and we will only continue to do the best that we can every single day. We have a great young staff right now, and I hope that every single one of them is presented with the same opportunities that the City of Ottawa, the Ottawa Police Department has given me, and that they get to take advantage of that. And I'll do my best to do that. So thank you all very much for this chance. Thank you for your trust, and my door is open and ready to meet and greet you in any way that I can. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
You gotta take pictures.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Adam Weingartner,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of police chief
and faithfully discharge the duties of Police Chief
for the City of Ottawa, Kansas, so help me God.
for the City of Ottawa, Kansas, so help me God.
Excellent.
Well, congratulations, Chief. I know that the police department is in fine, capable hands, so thank you. City Manager, do you have anything else this evening? Okay. Let's move on to reports by City Commissioners. We'll start over here on my right. Commissioner Crowley?
I have none.
Commissioner Kaler?
None at this time.
Commissioner Wygan?
I just have to say the city manager made a great choice in Adam, and I think he'll be a great chief for our city. He's already here and involved, and I think that's good. But that's all I have.
Good. Commissioner Skidmore?
I just echo Tom's comments too, and there are several people in our community that told me that you should be the selection. I've talked to quite a few people actually that said that, and so I'm glad we were able to please our citizens in that same manner, so congratulations, Chief. I just want to say too that today is the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage, that women were able to vote starting 100 years ago today, so Sarah?
I was not alive.
Oh, okay. All right. But I just, I apologize to all the women that it took so long for that to happen. So how about that? I'll put that on there. And also, tomorrow is D-Day, 75th anniversary of D-Day, and a lot of celebrations going on. And I think of my father-in-law. He was 95 years old. He was D-Day plus 22 or 23. He was a few days after that, but at the same time, he saw a lot of things. And fortunately, we will never have to see those same things. Like we went through with World War II. But we're thankful for all the men and women that gave their lives for that beach so we could have the freedoms we enjoy today. And that's all I have.
Good. Well said, Commissioner. That moves us on to the report by the mayor, and I have nothing further to say except for the announcements. On June 10th, there will be a retirement reception for Police Lieutenant Bobby Hawkins from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Law Enforcement Center at 715 West 2nd. The remarks will be at the beginning of the meeting at 2 o'clock. We'll have our study sessions on June 10th and 17th, and a regular meeting will be at 9:30 a.m. on June 19th. And then on the 25th, we will have the retirement reception for Fire Lieutenant Brent Macklin from 2 to 4 at the fire station, and remarks will be in the middle of that period at 3 o'clock. Is there anything further that should come before our meeting this evening? Hearing none, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.